What's going on, everybody? Mike Stadler here.
Carl Bethke with you.
Back at you at the Accession Podcast. Carl?
Mike? What do you think?
So I got a question here.
You do?
Yeah, that's pretty. I like it.
All right.
I forgot to write down who asked me this, but they were messaging me about, because I've talked about fallback bedding areas a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
And he was asking me, what's a fallback bedding area? What are you talking about? And I'm like, I don't know. Next? No, I didn't say it.
So you mean the area where big bucks kind of get moved out of their existing bedding to where they fall back to?
Yes.
So a retreat bedding space.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So, we talked about it. I don't even remember what podcast it was, but I know we brought it up because I kind of have a couple that work
Right
on
here.
either end. Yeah, here. So, the one that I think that we talked about here on our east end of my property here,
Yep.
we have that top rut ridge stand, we call it,
Yep.
where that has all been, hinge cut into your side, and it's thick bedding up on top of that. Well, that bedding borders my neighbor,
Yep.
who has a food plot. Literally, you can see it from my stand there.
Yep.
So, what would it be? Probably another 100 yards back behind that?
Yeah,
Maybe.
probably about 100.
Probably 100 yards back behind that on the same ridge. There's another bedding area, which we actually just added to
Yep.
this spring. Which is for basically, and I think I've heard other people talk about this too, but we've been doing it here for a while. Sometimes those bigger bucks, especially for the bigger bucks, if they get pushed back because there's some pressure or the neighbors are coming in close on that side and they force some of our bigger deer back, we don't care as much because they're falling back into our property.
Right.
And they have another area to go to.
Yeah.
So it's really set up because we want to try to keep them here.
Yeah.
It's
basically set up for mature bucks.
Yep.
So what happens, you guys hear us talk about layering your deer all the time. Basically, does, small bucks, kind of regular, we'll call them 2.5-year-old bucks, whatever, mature bucks. What usually happens is, obviously, everybody who understands anything about buck hunting, whitetails, in the Midwest understands that big mature bucks don't bed with does, especially during the fawning time periods. Currently, they're all bachelored up, even as their antlers are growing.
Yep.
And then, of course, as we get to late August, mid-August, late August, early September, everything starts changing. The mature bucks become more loners. They separate from the bachelor groups, and they need their own space, even more from those bucks, and further from the does and fawns, until it's that time, and then they'll start, moving in. If your neighbors, like Mike's spot where he was just talking about, is a perfect example of this. So the bedding is set up on the property line, okay? And the reason the bedding is set up on the property line is that food plot that the neighbor has is also right on the property line. So what we're doing is allowing the does to be right off of his bedding, or right off of his food plot, which is still basically the neighbor's. It's right property and runs right through it. And then where Mike's property starts, where the bucks start bedding. If the mature bucks are in there and there's very few deer around that location, they'll stay there. But what happens is as the neighbor starts mowing his plots and getting everything ready, whatever else, the does move in a little bit. Well, that displaces the bigger bucks, and then they go to the secondary that was created for them. And that holds the mature bucks on the property. So, with a smaller property,
that's the theory.
That's the theory.
That's why we use them. It's the same thing we said about the pockets that we put in.
Mm-hmm.
They're a real similar thing. We don't really consider those like a fallback
No.
bedding area, but they're a similar thing to give deer all kinds of places to go. Because the more you can spread them out, the better chance you have of keeping them. And we're obviously trying to keep bigger bucks. We're really doing it to keep the bucks.
Yeah.
You can bump does in and out. You really
Come
can.
back.
They're going to come back. They just do.
Yep.
I'm sure you're going to argue with us, but it's true. Does really don't care
Young bucks, year-and-a-half-old bucks.
Young
don't care
bucks
much.
don't really care
Nope.
as much, you know. No, yeah, granted, are you going to get one or two that are like, nah, I'm probably out of here. Of course you are. But, you know, those bigger ones, you know, if they bump back in, you know, and they can stay, they'll stay. But if you bump them and they got nowhere to go, they're probably going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
This is what it is, so.
Well, before we had those locations,
Yeah.
you'd have great pictures of summer bucks, and I mean
Yeah.
big suckers.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, they start to get bumped because there's more activity around the outer edges of your property
Yeah.
and all that going on. The next thing you know,
Yeah.
the neighbors are shooting them
Yeah.
a quarter mile away or something.
Across the road and everywhere over there.
Yeah, so that's what we're trying to avoid.
Yep.
Same on my properties, no different. The other advantage that we both have is level change, so vertical transition. Mike's property here has got pretty much the highest spot location in the county, and even though it's not a couple 100 feet like at my place, it's enough vertical transition that we can get deer to bed down low, in the middle, and then the top of the ridge. So not only are we separating them by bedding areas, so closer to food with the does, then the year-and-a-half, 2.5-year-olds, then the mature bucks on the top of the ridge. Vertically, we're also getting them separated lengthwise or depth of cover wise that same way. So we have both.
Right.
Mike's place and my place. So that's how we try to hold as many deer as possible and probably hold more deer than the property is capable of sustaining throughout the year carrying capacity.
We always do.
We always
That's a given.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about, you know, sustainability of properties, what in theory they really are. If you want to go back and check out that one,
Yeah.
what it really takes to keep deer on your property. So everything you can do is huge. We've done a lot of these. We have fallback bedding areas. We have a lot of habitat pockets, we call them, which is just another place. Again,
Okay. So here's a question about fallback bedding areas. Is a fallback bedding area one of the main hunting spots, or is it something we let lay a little bit and kind of hunt the transition in between?
yeah, we don't usually hunt them.
Right.
So,
And tell them why.
yeah. Well, because if they're already falling back in there, you don't really want to push them out of there.
Correct.
I mean, we treat it the same way.
Yes.
You know, our fallback, it's not like, we can walk right through that or go, we still don't do it.
Right.
You know, so because you don't know what's in there.
Yeah.
So stand locations are still key, entries and exits are still key. So you got to hunt them the same way. And if you don't know what they are, we can put them in for you.
That we can do. You guys can check out small property layouts. You guys can give us a call. You can check us out at Rush Outdoors WI at Gmail. You can email us. But we can help you guys set up your properties. Kind of show you some of the things we learned over the last 30 years of doing this and been quite successful. But the fallback bedding area is something we really believe in. And I don't want to say it's a sanctuary either.
No,
No. It's
like we said, it's just another area really for them to go.
Yeah.
And hopefully not go off the property. We want them to stay on the property is the biggest thing. So we've done a bunch of stuff like that on both properties this year. So we're really going to find out how many more deer we're going to keep in there. You know.
Yeah.
So because obviously, like we said, we have a lot of big bucks early, and then we have a lot of does.
Yeah.
So, and we're sick of them wandering off. They usually come back later, but we want to try to keep them on the property, keep them segregated. Like we always talk about segregating. It's just another way to segregate deer.
Yep, and create line of movement.
Yep. So that's what we use them for. That's what they are. Hopefully that answers your question. Like I said, if you don't know what these are, you're looking to set up a property, you need help, we can help you do that. Because we have done them and they're successful.
Yeah, you guys can get a hold of us right here in the comments. Like I said, you can get a hold of us at rushoutdoorswi at Gmail. You can give myself or Mike a call at 608-445-7608. We can talk pricing and what you guys want to do and how to lay out your properties. And we can come up and help you with all that stuff.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, buddy. If you guys want to just listen to the podcast, check us out right here at Spotify,
RSS.com,
Google,
iHeart,
Apple.
Amazon.
Also check out our great faces right here, YouTube.
Yeah, buddy.
We appreciate each and every one of you.
Right.